It was a Tuesday afternoon, a day like any other in the sleepy, seemingly perfect neighborhood of Silver Oaks. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and I was finally back from the gym. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who likes to brag, but that day, I had just wrapped up one of the most brutal leg days of my life. My legs were sore, I could feel the burn in every step, and all I wanted was a protein shake and a bit of mindless reality TV. I hadn't even kicked off my sneakers when the doorbell rang. Now, it wasn't one of those polite, neighborly ding-dong kind of rings. No, this was more of a frantic, insistent mashing like someone was trying to resurrect my front door. I peered through the peephole, and there she was, standing on my porch, practically vibrating with the energy of 1,000 squirrels on caffeine. Brenda Walker. Brenda was the kind of woman who had made it her life's mission to be the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood HOA. You know, the type, the one who thinks she has the right to regulate everything from how high your grass is to whether your mailbox is the correct shade of beige. Brenda wasn't just any HOA board member. Oh no, she was the Grand High Witch of Silver Oaks. Blonde helmet hair that looked like it could survive a hurricane, a permanent scowl, and a voice so shrill it could break glass at 50 paces. Honestly, she was the kind of person who made me dread living in a neighborhood with an HOA. She rang the doorbell again. This time, it was like the doorbell was a life-or-death matter. I opened the door just a crack because, you know, privacy. And there she was, standing on my front step in her beige slacks, a pastel blouse that looked like it belonged to the set of a 90s infomercial, and wait for it, a clipboard in hand. "Brenda," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral, but inside, I was already rolling my eyes. To what do I owe the, enthusiastic bell ringing? Her eyes narrowed, scanning me like I was some kind of criminal. Then they darted to my door, and then back to me. She was sizing me up like I had committed some kind of unspeakable crime. "Your door, Mr. Fisher," she said, her voice dripping with that passive-aggressive sweetness that could make anyone's skin crawl. "It's malfunctioning." I blinked. "Malfunctioning?" "Yes," she snapped, waving her hand like I was supposed to bow to her authority. "My master key isn't working." My eyebrows furrowed. "Master key? The HOA's master key," she said, as if this was perfectly normal. "It's supposed to open all the doors in Silver Oaks in case of an emergency. It's in the bylaws. Section 7, subsection C, paragraph 2. She said it like she had the Holy Grail in her hand. I couldn't help it. A slow smile crept across my face. The thought that this woman, or anyone else for that matter, thought they had a master key to my house. It was absurd. "Brenda," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "For privately owned homes, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. And also, just know." Her face twisted into a shade of purple I didn't know humans could achieve. "It's not illegal," she hissed. "It's for our protection. What if there's a fire? Or a rogue squirrel infestation?" "A rogue squirrel infestation?" I repeated, letting the words hang in the air. This wasn't just absurd, it was becoming comedic. "If my house catches fire, Brenda, I'm pretty sure I'll be the first one to know. And if it's squirrels, well, I've got a guy for that. No HOA intervention necessary." Her scowl deepened, and her next words were almost shrieked. "This is insubordination. You've tampered with the lock." I crossed my arms, feeling the tension in my legs from the gym, but also that strange satisfaction of standing my ground. "No, Brenda," I said, "there's no such thing as an HOA master key for my deadbolt. It's a high-security lock I had professionally installed when I bought this place. The only master it responds to is the one on my keychain." Her eyes bulged out. "You changed the lock without HOA approval? That's a fine," she screeched. "A $200 fine." I gave her a look. "Not happening." She tried to make her threats sound more serious. "You'll pay for the locksmith to fix this, or else." I shrugged. "Yeah, no, that's not how this works. There's no clause in any HOA agreement that lets you or anyone else use a universal key to open my front door. That's a security risk." She was having none of it. "It's a violation of the HOA protocol," she shouted. "You're obstructing official business." "Official business?" I repeated, genuinely curious at this point. "What emergency requires you to break into my house, Brenda? My door is fine." She whipped out her iPhone, her fingers manicured to perfection, and dialed 911. "911, she said, with a touch of drama. "I need an officer at 214 Oak Hollow Avenue immediately." There's a man here refusing me access to his home with the HOA master key. He's trespassing aggressively. He's huge, he's threatening's black. There it was. The card she always seemed ready to play. I felt a cold rush of anger replace the amusement I'd been feeling. This wasn't about a key. This was about something uglier. Something more personal. I didn't respond right away. I simply stood there, arms crossed, knowing full well what she had just done. And then I spoke calmly. Go ahead, Brenda. Call them. Let's see how this plays out. She did. The police arrived shortly after, and Brenda, still clutching her phone, told her version of the story, her face an open book of manufactured fear. But when the officers spoke to me, the truth came out. The master key didn't exist. There was no violation. And, most importantly, Brenda's little performance? It was exposed as just another one of her power plays. The officers left, shaking their heads at the absurdity of it all. Brenda, on the other hand, stormed off, defeated but not ready to give up. But that was just the beginning. A few days later, I received a formal letter from the HOA. They had summoned me to a grievance meeting to discuss what else. My violation of HOA protocol. Specifically, my refusal to comply with the master key clause. But I wasn't going to just roll over and let this go. Not anymore. I showed up at the meeting armed with proof. Proof that Brenda had abused her power, that her accusations were baseless, and that she had in fact been the one making threats disguised as concern for community safety. I laid out every piece of evidence, including the police report, photos, and video of her harassing me. By the time I was done, the room was quiet. I could see Brenda seething, her face as red as a tomato, but there was nothing she could do. Her reign of terror was finally crumbling. The fallout was immediate. The HOA board led by the once spineless Barty Pootman had no choice but to act. Brenda's behavior was documented, and the board could no longer pretend they hadn't seen it. They suspended her, pending an investigation. But the damage had been done. And so, a new chapter began for Silver Oaks. A chapter without Brenda's stranglehold on the community. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about making sure that no one else had to deal with her kind of petty tyranny. We reformed the HOA's bylaws, opened up transparency, and put in place checks and balances. The spirit of community had been restored, one that valued fairness, openness, and, most of all, respect. And as for Brenda, she moved away, leaving behind a legacy of shame. The gnome I'd placed on my lawn, a small, cheeky reminder of her overreact, remained as a symbol of victory. So here's where I ask you, what do you think? Have you ever had to stand up to someone in your community? Someone who thought they had all the power? How did it feel? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about justice, fairness, and how sometimes the most satisfying revenge is just making things better for everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about taking back control and standing up for what's right. Let me know what you think about this situation. Does it sound familiar to you?